working on an 06 Beetle with a parasitic jaw. This vehicle was towed in from another shop. Basically, they put a battery in it. The initial customer complaint was that the battery was dead, so they had it towed to a shop. They put a battery in it, and the battery went dead overnight. After that, I guess they were pulling some fuses, and they said that the passenger seat heater button and the radio were making a draw. So they recharged the battery and they disconnected some things, and the next morning the battery was dead again. So they towed it to us, and here we are. I already initially looked at this vehicle. I did not have a camera when I first looked at it, so I'm just going to go through basic procedure of what I did before. Basically, right now we want the car to be asleep, so I have the key here and just want to lock the car. I have the door latch latched, so the vehicle thinks that the door is closed. Also, I have the hood switch here closed. The hood switch is actually another trigger that can set off the alarm on these. So basically, I have my amp clamp hooked up here, and the vehicle is locked, and I have a 6 amp draw. That's right, 6 amps. So, just want to show you right here, I have my amp clamp hooked up, and initially I went through and I pulled these inline fuses right here, and the only thing I lost on my meter was 2 amps, so I still had a 4 amp draw after that. So immediately after that, I just went straight into the fuses, and we got a fuse panel right here inside the door. So right here, and basically I just went through and I pulled all the fuses one by one and just waited to see if my draw disappeared. Another thing I noticed in the car is that the seat heater is warm right now. Up here, the switch, I already have this disconnected. The switch is in the off position. Get my light here. The switch is right here, and it is in the off position. If you can see that in the camera, it's in 0, and this physically is hot to touch. You might be able to burn your fingers on that. So, one by one I pulled these fuses, and naturally I didn't see any change until I got to the last couple fuses I was going to pull. And I'll just show you real quick here. Get you focused. My amp meter. And I'm going to pull, I believe it's fuse SC42 and SC44. So right now I'm going to pull 42 first, and you can see my amp meter drop 2 amps. That fuse SC42 right here, 42, kind of hard to see on this camera. It's right here, and that is for the radio. So I'll still have a draw. Should be 0.05 or less. So I kept going, and naturally there was only 2 fuses left, and 44. So fuse 42, 44 are out. And look at that. So cool. So we isolated what circuits they're on. That SC44 fuse, which is right here, is for my heated seats. So, put the fuse back in. It's SC44, and there's my 4 amps again. And I'm gonna put in a 42, and now it's at 5 amps. 6.5 now. Well, so my draw is back. So, being that my heated seat is on right now, but I'm in the 0 position, I'm just going to go straight to the heated seat and unplug it. And I'm going to try to get a shot of that. There's a lot of junk in this car. Heated seat. That green connector. So I'm just going to reach in there and unplug that. It's unplugged. And 4 amps is gone. You can see that. So there's one jaw. Internally shorted seat heater element, and you can feel the seat, it's warm. And this control module, the switch is the actual control module for the heated seat. It is hot to touch. It hurts. It's a little warm there. As you can see, it's in the 0 position. It's still warm, and the seat heater is still warm. So that's one jaw isolated. So back to my fuse diagram, you can say. Our SC42 is the radio. SC42, that 25 amp right there. Remember my SC44, which is for my seat heater. Don't really have to worry about that now since I already took the draw away by unplugging the heater element under the seat. So I still have my 2 amp draw, 2.5 amps. And already did the, already pulled the radio out the other day. And just by moving these connectors, I don't know if the camera's going to pick that up, but you can actually hear the speakers crackling. And I'm just going to disconnect the radio. Radio disconnected, and you can see my draw nearly gone. So that should be 0.05 or less. Keys here, and I'm just going to lock the car. this car should go to sleep. Alright, so I let the car sit a bit. Maybe been like 10-15 minutes. I also had to move my amp clamp around. But my draw is officially gone. And I actually let this car sit overnight last night, and it started right up in the morning, which it did not at the other shop. I also did some resistance checks just to make sure my speaker wiring was okay. And I didn't really see any differences in there, so not really going to worry about that. But we'll show you this one more time. I'll show you with the radio just because it's easier. Or is it? The camera can see that. So I'm just going to plug in my radio again. The last plug here. You can hear my speaker when I wiggle these connectors around. You can see my, let me change my scale on my meter. Let's go to a 5 amp. Back to a 5 amp scale. And you can see my 2 amps is back, and that's what the radio is drawing. I can also try to plug in my heat seater. Yeah. Heated seat connector. It's a pain. And there that is. And you can see my 6 amps is back. Just gonna unplug that for you one more time. Hard to see with no light. And don't know if the camera can see that green connector right there. Unplug. Two amps. And I'm just gonna unplug my radio again. Radio's unplugged, and look at that, right back to sleep. So I'm gonna wait for the customer approval to maybe put a radio in. I know the customer said they didn't care about the heated seat, and maybe I can get an after shot, but I'm pretty confident in this. Needs a radio and heated seat element, but the customer doesn't care about that, so just doing some final checks here. Just wanted to show this. Some wiring damage right there. I can get the camera in there. And that is most likely where our short is. These damaged wires. Maybe got caught in the track somewhere. So, can present the repair to the customer. Maybe try to fix some wires and properly secure them. Much cheaper than putting a backrest heater element in this car. Get this up here. Okay, I just want to point something out here, something that I didn't know when I was working on this car. I have a wiring diagram here, and it's always good to go through it and know the components in the system that you're working on. And in this case, this fuse SC42 for the radio, that's all it says. SC42 is the radio. Well, if you go on the wiring diagram here, this vehicle is equipped with an amplifier. You can see that. R12. R12 is the amplifier. So in this case, those resistance checks I did that I thought were on the speakers were not. They were on maybe some wires that go to the amplifier and maybe central locking on this car. So what I'm trying to say is that this SC42 supplies power to this radio. Get that here. Right here. But if you come down here, here's R. R is your radio. But if you follow this track, it supplies power to the radio right here. And you follow this to the next page, and it also supplies power to R12, which is our amplifier. Which would tell us that our draw is in fact from the radio. If our draw was coming from the amplifier, unplugging the radio, our draw would still have been present. And if it was in a speaker, our draw still would have been present. All of our speakers run through the amplifier. So what I'm trying to say is that the resistance checks and the wiring checks, I didn't even need to do that. Unplugging the radio was good enough on this car. Customer did not want the repairs done, and that is confirmed using this diagram. No need to go any further.